This is another episode of Talks with Tyler ISD, a podcast about the passionate people who have a heart for students. This podcast is brought to you by Texas Bank and Trust. Thank you for joining us for Talks with Tyler ISD. I'm your host, Jennifer Hines, and today we have with us Mr. Justin Simmons, the principal at Boulter Middle School. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for the invite. Yes, ma'am.
So you are the new principal at Boulter Middle School this year. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you moved to this position from Hogg Middle School last year. Of course, you've been with Tyler ISD for a while now. Tell us a little bit about your career path so far, where you started.
Yes, ma'am. So just coming into education, it started out as a coaching hobby. Starting out as a coaching hobby at some of the middle, private schools, in the private school sector.
Yes.
And I said, you know what, I think I want to do this full time. And so therefore I jumped into the education program at UT. And then from there, it just kind of rolled into, teaching, social studies.
So you found your calling.
I did, yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. So what did you coach? All sorts of sports, or?
Yes, ma'am. At the time, at the middle school section, so all sports, basketball, track, football, you name it, it was there.
Okay.
Yes,
and so then you went to get your education degree, moved into the classroom. What subject did you teach?
Social studies.
Social
7th grade
studies.
and 6th grade.
Okay. So middle school is kind of where you started in the classroom, and now you have kind of come full circle now as a principal of one of our largest middle schools, at Boulter Middle School. Tell us a little bit about your path from teaching, because you did serve in several leadership roles before you got to this one.
Yes, ma'am. Just with teaching, my thing was I was only able to see so many students in the classroom, and that was a roster, could have been 160 students at the time. But now the luxury, the benefit, the privilege of being a principal, I can see all of my students. So it's not just, guaranteed to that small surplus, but it's now a campus wide of students.
Yes.
Yes,
okay.
ma'am.
And so you were assistant principal at Tyler High School for 4 years,
Yes, ma'am.
and then you also served as a principal at Hogg for a year. And so that's kind of fun, because we did close Hogg this past year, and so you get to see some of your students again this year.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. And that's a joy in itself. So I came in knowing a few names off the back, and it's also a good thing to see the students. And it's one thing that DMC always speaks on is all students deserve the good things, and so it's just good to be able to see the students in a nicer, newer facility.
Yes,
Yes,
and so
ma'am.
for those that are listening that don't know who DMC is, that's Dr. Crawford, the superintendent. That's what we call him for short here inside Tyler ISD. So you might hear that thrown around here and there when we talk to some of the different leaders within the district. Now, this is just an amazing opportunity for you. Talk to us a little bit just about your philosophy in general as you approach the principalship of a middle school.
Yes, ma'am. Just, main thing is breaking relationship walls down. The students are now becoming self-advocates. They do have a voice, and they will, petition to use it, exercise it. And, the worst thing that could happen is I come in there and then not see that and not be aware of it. So it's always a partnership when, dealing with our students in that setting.
And so how do you relate with the students? Is there anything that you do in particular to just kind of make that connection with them?
Yes, ma'am. Again, it's just showing them that I see their value. And that's just with giving redirectives or just talking with them, like say, hey, I see you, and I just want to let you know that I'm collaborating with you to make sure that, we keep you in the best position to be successful. So.
Absolutely. And I think that that's what a lot of kids want is they want to know that they're seen,
Yes,
and they
ma'am.
want to know that they're heard, and they want to know that their opinion is valued. That is such a great philosophy to have. Talk to me a little bit about how you've been able to motivate and work with your staff and with your teachers and get them excited.
Yes, ma'am. Well, if you know anything about me, I'm a people's person. That's one of my gifts, to be personable. And so the relationships, again, my thing was relationships over everything. And that's, it's going from the faculty, staff, and I'm accessible. It's not when you see me coming, it's hey, how you doing today? Good to see you. Glad to have you here. And it's just always just being able to have good vibes amongst us.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
and getting out of your office and being in the campus, that's so important because to be seen and being accessible, I know that that means a lot to the staff and faculty.
Yes, ma'am.
Of course, there's a third group that, it takes a village, as they say, and so that's the parents. We're all on this educational journey together, and we couldn't do without their support of their children as well. How has that been connecting with the parents?
Yes, ma'am. Parents, that is the ally. We have to take care of our allies, and it's working the dismissal line or working the arrival lines in the morning. It's waving, high fiving the students and telling the parents, hey, be safe on your way to work, and just having that communication available for them also.
And again, being accessible, them being able to see you, to know that they can come to you if they ever have an issue or something they just want to talk to you about.
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely.
Without a doubt. Sometimes the parents do come impromptu, and I want to make sure that I'm able to accommodate. So if they do come, and I can pin some time back to go have that conversation.
Wonderful.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, so we are now at the fall semester. What has been kind of your focus for the first 100 days, so to speak?
Yes, ma'am. Definitely coming back off of the last few handicap years that we've had with the pandemic and all of
Yes.
that, and just having to be able to go through school now without any disruptions. So it's going in, of course, making the relationship pieces work and getting in front of some true data that we can kind of see, build our plan for implementation of intervention and things like that moving forward. Yes, ma'am.
And so what are your goals as a principal now that you have moved into Boulter? I know you're looking at ratings. You just talked about that data. What are you looking at?
Well, the biggest thing right now is, they did a remarkable job last year on accountability, getting a C. So my thing is just to continue to, how do we push the trajectory? How do we, get to the next step? So first thing was, we set a goal for the campus together, and if you can do a C in a year with all the disruption that we've had in the last few, what can we do with a settled year? And so the goal that we set for ourselves would be a B this year.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, good luck
Yes,
on
ma'am.
that one.
Thank
That'll
you.
be great. And you've already prioritized high levels of academics for successful student outcomes.
Yes,
You've
ma'am.
got some things and systems that y'all have put in place, and I think people are excited. And I love that you just talked about how we set a goal, because you got to have that buy-in from everybody, and that y'all are all going towards that goal together, and then keeping the parents informed and all of that. I think going back to the hog situation, for those students that have moved over, what a wonderful thing that they now get to have access to all of this programming. Because I know in middle school's rough. I mean, let's be honest, it's just a hard time, bodies are changing, hormones are raging, kids are figuring out who they are, but having extracurricular programming is so important, because that is a lot of times what gets kids to school. That makes them focus on the academics that they may not think are so, they don't want to focus on that so much, but this really helps them to be on time, good attendance, focus in the classroom. What are you seeing with that?
Oh, I'm loving it. I'm getting back to it, actually. Coming from Tyler High, where extracurricular is there and is breathing. I like that at Hog. So now seeing those students come and they can enjoy it, and then I use it as leverage. I can't wait for we can kick off our first pep rally. At announcements, we're talking about the game, recaps of the games, and it's just something, like you said, it gives the students something to shoot for and strive for, and I like to use that to keep them going.
Yeah, and
Yes,
it builds
ma'am.
camaraderie, and they just can kind of find themselves and all the different things that they can have access to, whether it's sports or art or music. It's just wonderful to see that they are able to do that and have those goals developed into action. What would you like for parents or community members, anyone that might be listening right now, to know about Boulter or about your vision or things that are going on there?
Yes, ma'am. Just one thing to go back on is we made the uptake to the C rating, and again, we want to continue to go to the successful moods, and that's getting our B. So our thing this year, or our mantra, or better said, would be burning the boats to higher new academic success. We saw what they could do last year, and then with this year with no interruptions, we want to definitely press on them to strive for that. So parents, I just want them to know that everything that we do, it's always with our best foot forward, and it's just trying to make sure that we put the students in the most successful posture for them.
Absolutely.
ma'am.
Well, and it's great to see that y'all do have that focus. And of course, parents, you need their help too, whether they're volunteering or helping their students at home, making sure that they still kind of stay on top of it. I remember when I was talking to a middle school counselor once, I was like, what's the biggest mistake that parents make when their kids get to middle school? And she said, they all of a sudden become hands-off.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you still need to have hands-on. Now, we're not talking about helicopter parents. Nope, not talking about that, because they do need to start getting that independence. But just to stay active in their education and to work with them on the different areas, be aware of what they're studying, and kind of help them along and see where they're struggling and make those conversations with the teachers when needed, that sort of thing.
Yes, ma'am.
You got any other advice for parents that are looking to middle school next year, or this is their first year in middle school?
I always tap into our parent portal with that the district provides. It gives the grades for the students right there in real speed. And they can also set expectations. So if the student, for the helicopter parent who wants the student to have an A at all times, if that student makes an 89, it'll alert you right there on the spot, and then you'll know if little Johnny isn't taking care of the house expectations. So definitely tap into our parent portal.
Well, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Mr.
Thanks.
Simmons. We appreciate you, and we
Thank
appreciate
you.
y'all checking out this latest episode of Talks with Tyler ISD. If you would like to know more information about the district, be sure to download our Tyler ISD app. You can get that in the App Store, or you can sign up for our district newsletter at get.tylerisd.news. We'd like to thank our sponsor, Texas Bank and Trust. Subscribe to Talks with Tyler ISD on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify. Please share this episode with your friends and family.